fight. She didn't go in there to look for someone to fight. She was trying to get someone off of her friend, and in the process of that was struck, and she injured Ms. Martinez. And so it's regrettable, Judge. There's no doubt about that. And this incident happened in a matter of seconds. And that's why we're here 2 years later doing that. In addition to that, Judge, there is a civil suit in this case where the parties in this case are seeking $1 million in damages against my client. And so this case will not end today. It will continue in a civil matter with a lower burden of proof, where she will have to defend herself in a civil cause of action for money damages.
And Judge, just to clarify from the state's end, I would disagree with the characterization of how the incident started. The party was already on the elevator. The complainant's party was already on the elevator. They were asked to not enter the elevator. They weren't kicked off the elevator. They were asked not to enter.
They were in the elevator.
And that's what started it.
And I also have a copy of the lawsuit that was filed this week before the sentencing, where they're seeking $1 million damages in civil lawsuit right here. You want to see it, Judge? It's public record.
I would object just because relevance.
It's a lawsuit's and filed in the city court. That's a copy from the courthouse.
All right, unless there are some facts that are listed in the
It pleads the
lawsuit.
whole case, Your Honor. Exactly what you're talking about is pled in the civil suit.
I mean, if that document has facts that somebody has, well, alleged facts that somebody has presented, that's a different rendition from what's in here, then the court will,
It does not, Judge.
all right, so,
Just to let you know, there is a civil suit.
all right, then the objection will be sustained. All right, anything else from either side?
No, Your Honor.
No.
All right, I've read your letters that were presented, and it appears that, you know, other than this one incident, you're a great person. But sometimes sentencing, well, not sometimes, always sentencing has to do with punishment, rehabilitation, and basically whether or not someone should go to prison or not go to prison. These are all things I have to think about. You understand? And so I have to weigh certain things. And the things that I'm weighing are the fact that there were people in the elevator and you were asked not to get on the elevator. Is that correct or is that not correct?
You were on the elevator.
Your Honor, the elevator's doors open. They entered into the elevator and they were asked, there were too many in the elevator, and the elevator operator asked people to voluntarily get off.
All right, so there were already people on the elevator. Then you got on the elevator and you were asked to get out?
Us just walked in at once.
All right,
And
and then you were asked to leave.
then they said we need people to get on.
All right, so why didn't you just get off the elevator? That's what I don't understand.
Sure. You didn't decide that.
No.
She didn't decide that. It was a person that she was with, Your Honor, who is a defendant in the case that's in another court.
So my question is though, if there are too many people on the elevator, and let's say you get on the elevator, it's a group of you, the elevator is already filled. I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, people were on the elevator, they had not met maybe their 7-person capacity. And then you and your group come on, and because of the number in your group, they've exceeded their 7-person capacity. And then they're saying, you all need to get off the elevator and wait. Why not just get off the elevator? That's what I don't understand. Even if you're with somebody in your party who says, I'm not getting off the elevator, why didn't you just get off and I'll wait for the next elevator. I'll take the stairs. I don't understand.
We had already gotten off 2 floors, so we said like we've been waiting, but we didn't want to be the ones to get out.
And was alcohol involved, or people just don't want to take
It
the
was after a
stairs?
football game, Judge.
State, does anybody want to? I know the complainants are here. Do they want to
No,
say anything to the court?
no.
Okay,
Oh, Your Honor, may I have one moment?
yes. And then after this, we're going to take up Pete Diaz, Emmanuel Castro, Michael Martinez, Larry Berry, and Michael Moore.
Your Honor, I'm gonna call case once again.
Okay,
Your Honor, he's not a victim in this case. Why would he come to?
I mean, we'll see what he has to say. I don't know if he's a relevant witness or not, but if he were present at the scene.
You know, I would think that the person involved is the one who's, in this case, is the one that would need to address it. He's had his day in court. He has spoken before the court. I don't see why he needs to speak in this case at sentencing.
All right, you can call your witness.
State calls David Martinez.
All right,
Your Honor.
you're welcome. If you can raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
David Martinez.
All right, state.
Mr. Martinez, from your memory, what occurred on that day?
On that day, we were in line to get into the elevator. The capacity of the elevator, of course, as I mentioned, was 18. But because of the COVID era, there was an elevator attendant there. She said only 8 could be allowed in. We were 3 couples and 2 children, which were a total of 8. As we walked in, we were already in the elevator. They decide to come in behind us. The elevator attendant told them they need to step out. It's full. They had been intoxicated. Her friend.
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
No, they were
No. Yeah, here's the thing. Where you cannot address the attorneys. Once an objection is, no problem. Once the objection is raised, just stop speaking. I'll make a ruling on the objection. And then I'll let you know if you can continue or not, if you have a question about that. That objection will be overruled.
He came in, stood at the door, prevented the door from closing. Began to.
Objection, Your Honor. I just asked for clarification from the ones. I don't know who he is.
Which he are you speaking about, sir?
Her partner, there was 2 gentlemen, which was the initial one that started arguing with us. And her partner that she was mentioning that walked in and they were not, we were already in the elevator already when they decided to block the door from closing. Can't recall the individual's name, but it was a younger gentleman that was with her. He proceeded to argue with the elevator attendant about, letting them in or not, that it was BS, that they cannot be let in because there's a lot of room. And she told him he had to leave. He continued to argue with her and he said that he wanted to talk to her supervisor. And she says, if that's the case, she shut off the elevator. And that's when words were back and forth. They continued berating us. She was cussing like a sailor, as well as the other ones. We kept quiet and they started again arguing with us. We stayed in there. The kids were already getting terrified with what was going on. They started crying and they continued with their vulgar language. And I just told them one time, that's it, F you. The gentleman that was with him got upset. He literally from the outside ran into the elevator, knocked us all over and, assaulted all of us in there. I grabbed him and I pushed him out. It was not the individual that she says was in there. It was the other individual that was with him that probably hosted them to the game. And he and I went outside and after that, what?
From there, sir, is that where everything happened?
Correct.
Pass it with this judge.
Any questions?
Mr. Martinez, I'll just start right from leaving the elevator. So by the time that you set foot out of the elevator, you're in the middle of a physical altercation. Is
I
that right?
was, yes, while I was on the ground.
Okay. How much were you able to perceive of what was happening around you while you were in the middle of that?
Well, I was
altercation?
on
If
the
you
ground.
let me finish my question.
All right, it's,
One at a
we're gonna
time,
talk.
sir.
So my question was, how much were you able to perceive about what was going on around you during the middle of that physical altercation?
And I was not able to see when I was in the ground, what was taking place after that.
Okay, and we can agree that the incident in question, the basis of this criminal case here today is something that happened during the middle of your physical altercation, right?
While I was on the ground, yes, and then afterward, I did get up and partially saw my wife on the ground with a bloody nose. She was in a daze and I asked her what happened. And I told her that she got hit She said, yeah, I got hit multiple times. And I said, well, why didn't you defend yourself? She says, I couldn't because I was being held down.
Can you say for certainty whether or not Mrs. Segundo was acting in defense of another whenever she got involved in this incident?
I'm gonna object to relevance.
All right, that'll be overruled. You can answer the question if you know.
I can't say that, but, you know. I can answer.
Oh, and I understand, Mr. Martinez, the want for justice on behalf of the injuries for your wife. I just want to make sure that we're also serving justice here for Mrs.
Absolutely.
Segundo today based on her amount of involvement in this incident. And
There was
so-
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, please. finish.
No, there was only two other parties involved, three parties, and the individual who was with me had already left. But it was only her left with her friend. And there was nobody else around. There was people watching, nobody was getting involved, but they were the only ones actively, physically getting involved.
But, and I know we started this conversation based off what's happening when you're leaving the elevator. Prior to the altercation and leaving the elevator, would you say that in any way Mrs. Segundo was the instigator who was trying to start this situation? I have no further questions.
All right, any other questions?
Nothing from the state, Judge.
All right, thank you.
This is it.
All right, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the court will hear final argument if there is any.
Your Honor, I think it's clear that Ms. Segundo did not start this incident. That her actions occurred outside the elevator as a result of defending another person. She doesn't deny that she struck Ms. Martinez, but this was a situation where she was struck as well. And we believe that this one incident that wasn't premeditated, it wasn't started or caused by her. It reminds me of a penalty and another individual comes in their aid and then another flag comes up for a penalty and they both get penalties. And most cases in sports, that's offsetting. And I think in this case, at looking at the situation, looking at history since that day, that I think it would be fair to give this single mother a chance to continue her life and being a mother and working at her employment. So not to have this crash down on her with her children, with her workplace. We can't promise that she will keep her job upon this conviction. We cannot promise that she can be able to parent her children and be the primary caretaker of her children as a result of this conviction. But we can promise that if she is given a chance, she will do everything in her power to remain on probation for 7 years, to do what's right, so not to be considered a felon in a situation that she wished never had happened. There's no ill will here. There is no desire on her part to do anything but to move on with her life and pay what's owed, the $2,500, and do what it takes to win your trust. So we're asking, Judge, that deferred adjudication be given to this woman so that she can continue to do her life and do good for her children and her work and her community.
State, any final arguments?
Your Honor, the concern from the state here is, again, the facts of the case. It's that, yes, she wasn't the instigator, but she chose to take it to this level. It was her choice to take this out on the complainant. It was her choice to get involved against the complainant and to not show restraint. It's the issue that this all started over something very trivial, that if just a little bit of patience, this would have all passed over. That moment that she decided to act how she did has affected the complainant from that day until today. And it's going to affect her past this. That's why the state is asking for probation on this case and for you to not grant her deferred adjudication.
All right, so what is the amount of restitution and who is the restitution to?
It's to Rebecca Martinez and
$2,416.29.
Wait, 2,400?
$16.29.
And also in the plea bargain agreement, it says restitution to,
Jeanette Rojas.
yes.
Your Honor, so we haven't gotten any medical or billing from there. We would ask restitution to be determined on that amount.
All right, so with regards to the restitution to Jeanette Riojas, if there's a restitution amount that's submitted to the court and you all have objections to it, we can have a restitution hearing.
Thank you.
And I'll just write in that there's to be a restitution hearing as it relates to Jeanette Riojas. And I'm assuming she's going to want to transfer to Houston.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what,
It's in Harris County.
all right, Ms. Segunda, I've listened to all arguments. I want you to know I paid very close attention to the arguments that were presented, to the witnesses, and to all of the documents that the court reviewed. I realize that sometimes when things happen, it's just a Snapchat or somebody's life, right? It doesn't mean that the person is a horrible person. And I'm sure if people could go back and change things, sometimes people are serious when they say, if I could go back and change things, I would. Maybe I never would have went to the game. I would have just let the elevator went. I would have taken the stairs. I understand that. But we can't turn back the hands of time, right? And the problem in this case, and one of the things that I'm looking at is the fact that the complainant has serious injuries. And it has nothing, my consideration on whether they're a judge or not, that's not playing any factor in my decision. If she did not have that occupation, let's just say she worked at the HEB, for example. Then based upon her injuries, she wouldn't be able to work at the HEB. She wouldn't be able to stock. She wouldn't be able to stand and be a cashier. I don't know what they would have her doing at the HEB. You understand? So her injuries are very serious injuries. And I've read the report that was given to me about her injuries, and I've read the PSI report, and I've read the police reports again in this case, because I always like to review things. So I understand that you're very sorry for what happened, but sometimes, yeah, it's great that you're sorry. It's great that you've internalized things, but there is still some punishment associated with it. And I understand that sometimes when people have felony convictions, they say, well, now I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. But then when you look at the complainant has some lifelong issues. And that's the report that I was given and that your attorney has read. The injuries that she suffered are not going away. And from the report I read, it sounds like they're never going away. She's always going to have those injuries. And I think you know that when people have broken bones, there's a change in the weather, their bones ache. I have it with my fingers because at one point in time, all my fingers were broken on my left hand. So I know when the weather is changing, it gets a little bit painful, not unbearably painful, but it does. So those are a whole host of things that happens when somebody suffers the injuries that she suffered. I understand, as I said, that you're sympathetic, and I believe that you're sympathetic, and if you could do things over, you would. But I am where I am right now, okay? All right, this is what the court is going to do. Court will find you guilty, sentence you to 7 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 5 years. There's a $500 fine that will be probated. There's a transfer to Houston, Texas, Harris County. Taking consideration County Court Cause number 693701, there's to be restitution of $2,416.29 to Rebecca Martinez. There's to be no contact with Rebecca Martinez or Jeanette Riojas. Proof of employment within 45 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider with minors. 100 hours of community service restitution. That'll be waived once you complete parenting classes. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular UAs, and restitution hearing as it relates to Jeanette Riojas. I don't see this as an anger management situation. I see this as an aberration. I think she doesn't need anger management classes. So is there anyone going to object to me not giving her anger management classes?
The state won't object, Judge.
All right. Probation, is there anything else she needs?
No, Your Honor.
Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful? All right. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yeah.
All right, because this is a plea bargaining agreement, because I followed your plea bargaining agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question of what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Sure.
All right, we can go off the record. So what I've learned in my time on the planet, it's just best when somebody says, oh, you can't do that, and you want to argue about it, pick another day to argue about it. You understand? All right, good luck to you.